So this is the package that was sent out for the 31st. So Rockland Trust wasn't able to be here if we had any questions, but I think there was a couple questions that came up, if I remember. I don't know, Doug, if you had a question on.
Yeah, there were a couple of short sales on some of the funds, which kind of gave a negative year-to-date balance. I believe it was like a negative 300 or 330. It's kind of, I was just interested to know why you would short sell funds in a time like COVID. But,
Brenda, did you, I mean, that could wait till tomorrow, but were you able to take that question and send it just in advance to Barbara?
I did, and she responded. She
Yeah.
responded back today. She responded back to Doug and myself.
Well, could you share that with the rest of the members so that they're brought up to speed?
Sure. I have to find it in my mail.
Or Doug, do you want to just answer it from your perspective?
Oh, I had to. It's in my work email.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. Or Sandy, did you have any questions in advance?
Had a few different questions. Some things on the dates and what I see. You know, it opened, I guess, on the first page or the second page, opened in December 2000.
Yep.
And then when you get down a little bit, it goes on to on page 5, up to 1/1/13 as of January 3rd, 2013. I guess I was just wondering, you know, what was the accumulation and what was the growth between 2000 and 2013, which I don't see anywhere.
I think that's when it started, was in 2012.
I thought it was 2000 actually.
Stand by, I'll look.
So just, you know, why we were missing those dates primarily. And then the other thing that I really, I have a problem with getting my head around it is, again, and I'm not sure if one time we had asked them this, but down, you know, in there, down the bottom, not insured by FDIC or any other government agency, not Rockland Trust guaranteed, not Rockland Trust deposits or obligation, may lose value. I'm not fond of that statement. I think you know, probably a better explanation than that. I mean, where does that leave them, and where does that leave us? I guess, you know, if anything should happen or crash, or, you know, I want to know. I guess I want to know what insurance do we have, and how much would we lose? Would we lose everything?
I want to think, and I've got to go back to the link to the last time that they came before the council.
Yeah.
I thought you had asked that question before, and I really have to go back to that, Sandy, but because I think it was something.
Remember what, and I think I recall that we had discussed that at the last one. I can't recall. I just don't like that statement. I think I need to know more about, you know, what is the liability and where do we stand if, you know, God forbid, if anything happens, but can happen.
Sandy, did you see the email that I sent out to everyone with her phone, her contact information? She really welcomes any one of you to contact her directly with any questions whatsoever related to this.
Is this Barbara Howard or Erica Penny?
Pardon?
Is it Barbara Howard or Erica?
That's correct. And she sent her her email and her phone, direct phone line.
So here's what I would do, right? The council meetings tonight that they're presenting, it's a question that we can just say that in the finance meeting, be prepared to answer that question. I think, you know, Sandy, if you're asking, it might be in the minds of others. There's an advantage of a question being asked in in an open time period, because that means if you're if you're asking, it might be on the minds of somebody else, and being transparent, it can be helpful. So we can ask that question in terms of that language. We can get that to Barbara, this language here. Just in terms of, just be explained, is it for all clients? You know, again, I can't recall what it was last year. We will ask the question because it is, you know, here's where it says opened in December of 2000.
So going back in my time machine, it could be that in 2000, OCPC opened an account with Rockland Trust for the intent of funding the OPEB. But in 12, that's when the board authorized the creation of the irrevocable trust.
Okay.
And that's where OCPC deposited the 125,000 as a start, and then started putting in the, what, 60,000 a year into that.
Got it.
65,000 somewhere, and I did see that.
Right. So maybe that's why that 2000 date, because that's when Pat took over as director.
So I guess
Maybe that's one of the initiatives he started.
I guess right here on this page on 5, the total fund of 809,828. So is that what was the balance prior to? And then it's what has grown in 3 months, 8 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years.
Right. So the 809 was just talked about under the financial report.
Yep.
That's the existing balance of what we have in the account right now.
Okay.
Through
So
the end
Market
of,
value.
yep.
I guess what the growth is going to be is over the 3 months, 8 months, 1 year, 5 years, whatever. That's the percentage of what we would gain,
Right.
right?
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
trailing return over those time periods.
So if
Okay.
you were to sell all your assets right now, you'd be at, that would be your market value.
Okay. I guess I was just, thinking of what was the amount, or what did we have in there prior to? I guess 2000 to 2013 anyway.
Yeah, there's a table in that presentation. The last time Rockland Trust did a presentation, there's a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
It shows the 125 being deposited in 2012. And then every year, it's just like a one-liner. And it shows it going up every year. So we started with initial deposit of 125. Now we're at 809 over
Right.
X time period.
So the page that I just have, right? So it didn't really say on here 125, but there's addition that they have 55,065 in FY19, right? And then here's your total and here's your balance.
But that was, if you look at, that's FY18. So from 13 to 18, I guess we're missing something in there.
They probably only have so many years on like a statement. They probably only have so many years that they show. I'm sure that, she would easily have that information for prior years, I'm sure, if we asked at the meeting.
So I guess what would be the overall growth in it? And do we know what kind of fee
Yes.
that they get for doing this?
Yes, they talked about it last time, and I think it's in the presentation, so stand by.
It's pretty minimal, Sandra.
Yeah, I remember seeing it too.
Yeah, it's pretty minimal.
Okay.
I can't find it here, but I know that we talked about it in terms of the fees. My apologies. I'm a little dizzy right now. I don't know about you guys, but payments, here you go.
And I'm sorry, I should have written down.
Here we go. No, that's okay. Here are the fees. Fees are calculated and charged monthly based on the account market value. The fee is 66.66% on the first 500 right there,
Okay.
based on the current. And I believe, I can go back to the August presentation, but I believe that is the same that they said the last time around.
Okay.
And again, one of the things I think that, to see what they present, to see, I think these questions that you have, and, again, we could bundle them, we could put them out there. This is the whole point of having the finance meeting, have a review of it. Obviously with April, we'll have Plymouth County come in as well, will be a good comparison. Looking at the numbers, looking at the fees, looking at the percentages, looking at the, it's, so it would give that opportunity. But I think this is the time to be asking the questions of Rockland, not only just singularly, but as a whole. So then there's that good discussion for this time around, for tomorrow, as well as for the April.
Right. One other question I had was under the OPEB planning steps on page 3. I guess it would be nice to have name the trustees and define their powers. A lot of this should be that is this something? No, you didn't put this together. They did, Rockland Trust did. So
Yeah.
a lot of this, they should have a little explanation under some of these different things here, like that one, define the powers. What kind of powers do they have? Does it mean that they can invest in whatever or change things without somebody here in our office knowing, or Brenda or somebody who has the authority?
Well, we do get the monthly statements, and that kind of is the checks and balances for us to kind of keep a watch. It's monthly, and they come in pretty much a regular, and obviously the stock market plays a role in terms of that.
Right. So the trustees, which is OCPC,
Right.
directs Rockland Trust on the level of risk in the Rockland Trust presented portfolio options, low, medium, high risk, etc. And OCPC selected a medium portfolio risk.
Right.
And Rockland Trust manages the portfolio on a daily basis, watches the market, invests, moves money around, etc. Basically.
You see, I thought that the trustee was the bank.
I don't think so.
OCPC is the trustee because we created an irrevocable trust,
But
and it belongs to OCPC.
But once it gets into the hands of the bank,
They manage the portfolio on behalf of the trustees on a day-to-day basis on the investments, but then they report back to us, say, here's how it's performing, and then they look to OCPC for guidance, say, well, we're losing too much money because it's a down market, let's go with a lower risk, or hey, it's a great market, we're willing to go on a higher risk, and we're willing to go for the ride on the market. And
all right, I guess my interpretation was the trustee was a person or agent such as a bank who would control the funds, or was appointed, elected or appointed to be directed in which way to get for our best interest. But I thought that the bank, was the trustee.
the bank is the agent that does the investing.
So what we'll do, Sandy, we'll ask Rockland just to clarify that in their presentation tomorrow, just again for, Charlie is correct, but we'll have them say it with their words at the council meeting.
Yeah, and I mean, if everybody's okay with that, I don't want to make a big deal about it. I don't know how everybody else feels here. If they have questions about it, I don't want to.
I think, that the questions you raised and raises an opportunity for us to provide Rockland Trust with a series of questions in advance so they have time to prepare and be ready for tomorrow night. I think it's valuable that folks bring up the questions, because that's part of the oversight of who we are and what we do, and it shows your interest in making sure that we're making the best decisions possible. So,
and they're new members too, and there's new council members that this is a good time for them to be brought up as well, Charlie.
And the way he explained it, as far as the way you can aggressively put buy stock and sell it and whatnot, I think is a good clarification when you're up into the board tomorrow, because, you know, if you tell them, hey, we took a medium approach, I mean, then they'll understand why certain things got sold and why they didn't. Whereas,
Yep.
well, we took a low risk, and so all that kind of clarification is a good thing.
Yep, and it looks like, right, in the steps that they presented, that I've just highlighted, right, it's the roadmap back in 2016, right? That's where that was developed, and, you know.
So like what we do with our policies is upgrade them. Is that something that they have to change or upgrade or update?
Say that one more time, Sandy, I'm sorry.
So, you know, like what we did with our policies, is that something also that they need to update from 2016?
Well, I think that's for what they mentioned last August, and I think they'll mention again, is that that's up for the council to make a decision. And while, you know, in 2016, there were different council members, the reality is this market is so volatile that, you know, to be too aggressive may not be to the advantage that we want. Remember, there was a whole discussion about how to approach this, and you know, right now it just seems to be doing okay. I mean, this is the what, second or third month in a row, Brenda, that we had not lost?
Yeah, it's the second month in a row, yes. So we're doing it, we're back on doing okay.
Good. Okay, I'm done.
Again, don't be sorry.
Don't be sorry, Sandy.
No,
I didn't get the memo. I wasn't invited, so here I am.
No. I think, again, I won't speak for anybody else, but you know, the questions are, if they're on your mind, they're on somebody else's mind. And I'm always been of the mindset, I don't care how often, but as you can ask, 8 people can ask the same question 8 times, but as long as the answer is the same by, in this case, Rockland Trust, then that's the whole point, right? It can, until it gets the answer that one is it just needs to be explained until everybody feels comfortable.
Right. Okay.
Christine?
All right, I've got a couple questions. My first question is, how often should we evaluate the risk level? Is this something we should do annually or every couple of years? What we feel comfortable for a risk level at the time? I just don't know. I mean, as a finance committee, you know, maybe we should be doing this annually, and then we make a recommendation to the board if we're looking for a change, or 2 years. I don't know what would be a good amount of time. Maybe it depends on the market.
Yeah, Barbara definitely said that she had some suggestions for those very things. So I think that at least annually, when we have these meetings, we'll look to them to, you know, because they're you know, that's their expertise, knowing what's happening. So, you know, I mean, I think maybe at least once a year for sure.
Mhm.
Okay.
To institutionalize that, I think, is what you're getting to, Christine, right?
Right. That, you know, that might be something that we want to add to the bylaws, even in the next review, that part of the finance committee's duties would be to evaluate the OPEB level of risk and make a determination if it's, you know, where they want to be.
Yep.
Okay. So my second question is, when Mary and I were in the office, we met, David Klein was there, and he expressed some concern about any type of movement with the OPEB. So my question is, are your pensions different than any other town or municipal employee?
I don't think so.
I didn't think so either.
Yeah,
I
I don't
didn't
think
understand
so.
his concern.
So this is different than your pension. This is other post-employment
Oh, yeah,
benefits
yeah.
for health insurance
Okay.
and dental insurance for retirees. This is separate from the pension.
Oh, thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, the pension is through the state retirement system. It's paid by the Commonwealth of Mass.
Okay, so this would not be any different from the health insurance for any other
Right, so Plimpton, for
government
example.
employee?
Right, exactly.
No, definitely, it's definitely the same, the very
Okay.
same thing. Yep.
Okay. All right. And then my last question is, in the event we were to choose to transfer to another OPEB, would there be any type of penalty or fee? Do we know that?
There
That's a
shouldn't
good
be.
question.
Yeah, there shouldn't be though.
There shouldn't be. I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't think so either. If it just moves from one into another account, that's the same kind of an account, I would think there would not be, but we
Okay.
should, we should probably ask that of
So-
our Rockland person.
Right, so what I would do if we could, Brenda, and I could put together some of my notes and then get together with Charlie and you, but let's put all these questions together. I'm not going to share the recording, but I think we can take these questions, put it into a format, ship it off to Barbara and have her be ready to answer the questions for tomorrow.
Yeah, excellent idea. Yeah, that is exactly what she wanted anyway, so that she could streamline the meeting as much as possible, because we have a whole other, agenda of things to do tomorrow night.
And we'll take this one out of order. We'll have them come
Right.
up in advance. So
That was it for me.
So we've got the three from Christine. I've got those. We've got Sandy in terms of it's not insured. We want to be able to get some information about the trust and the establishment, just to confirm what Charlie had said in terms of what that constitute. We want to get some information just in terms of a little bit more of the history, like they did the last time, from this open in December, but from 2012, as Charlie said, they constituted the trust, and then to just to run through again from what's happened from 2013, from the initial 125,000 to what we're talking about today. Did I know I must have missed something else.
Oh, sounds good to me.
Mary, this is probably going to be a very stupid question, but so how are these benefits paid? Are they actually, if someone, a retiree, has dental and it's paid through, is it paid through the OPEB and Rockland Trust takes care of it?
Brenda, do you want to handle that?
Well, no, it comes, the benefits themselves, the health insurance, a portion of it, of course, comes from the employee, and then another portion comes out of the admin fees of OCPC.
So the purpose of the OPEB then is
strictly, it's strictly for, I guess those retirement funds. I'm not totally sure about that, but the only benefits that are paid out of the OPEB are the retiree funds. With the
Charlie?
Right,
OCPC.
so
Thank you, Charlie.
for retirees, I believe that it's a 50-50 share,
Mhm.
if I'm not mistaken. So retirees will it's just like in existing, so OCPC pays the 50% to the company, and then the company disperses its benefit to the retiree. Now, one of the
Yes.
things that, so right now, as Brenda pointed out, when we pay the insurance company the 50%, that comes out of admin central staff, but at some point we have to do a drawdown or withdrawal out of the OPEB into the OCPC account. And that's the only thing that money can be used for, is then to pay the insurance companies, because it's an irrevocable trust set up for only one purpose, and that's the OPEB.
So what are we doing right now for Pat? Like, use him as an example. How does that go?
Right, so as I recall, when I read the audit report, there was a $40,000 number for OPEB retirees on an annual basis. I believe I read that in the report. I have to
Okay.
You're
back and
talking about
double
the
check.
audit, yeah.
Yeah, in the audit, the
Yeah.
auditor, there
Yeah,
was a line.
it is all right in the audit.
Right, it showed the annual amount is about 41,000. So at some point, so that's what we're drawing down now. You know, Pat is a newer retiree, et cetera. Patrick is another one. So it should be a little bit higher going forward. The other thing is that I want to say every 5 years, there's an actuarial analysis done on the OPEB benefits by a company that's led by a gentleman called named Parker Elmore. And he's an actuarial specialist, and he says, okay, this is your 20-year cost for your OPEB, giving current market conditions, lifespan, cost of insurance, etc. I believe that the 20-year estimate was $1.5 million for retiree healthcare, and I believe we're at 70% funded, if I'm not mistaken.
So Charlie, if I might, in the audit, did they do, what am I trying to say? Did they estimate, I guess, what the older population is that might be retiring? You know, let's say in 5 years, we should look at and see how many retirees we might have.
Yeah, I think as I recall, the financial statements summarize the actuarial analysis, the 20-year cost.
Okay.
Yeah.
But maybe that's something we could send back out, is the actuarial analysis, and I'll double check the financial statements as well, because it had that 20-year horizon number of how much we're trying to get to if this account was fully funded.
Right. I think we have till what, 2029?
Yeah, I think something like that. I think was the
What did
when Rockland talked to us the last time, they said, yeah, 2029 would be the, you know, based on our current projections, that's when this would be fully funded.
All right, so it didn't go up to 2032. I thought that there was some question in there. So I think 2029 is the number. Because we certainly don't want to be at a point where we're going off a cliff, you know, where we have a lot of retirees and then we don't have the money in the pension to supply them for their retirement.
Yeah, so you know, well, the 809 will go a long way if you divided that by $40,000.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're putting in 60 now on an annual basis, so we're more than fully funding our current load of, you know, by $20,000. So
Right.
We dropped the 60 to 30, Charlie, remember?
did we? Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Because there was such, you know, we were putting so much money, we were putting much more money in there and there's such a hefty balance. We dropped it thinking that because we had a lot of things happening, that was of course before we realized that COVID was going to happen.
Right. And does anybody know how this might affect us? I know that there's some talk out there at the State House about early retirement. I'm not really sure, so I can't say too much about it, but I know that there is something in the talks about offering early retirement.
Wow, I just started. I'm not interested.
Me either, and I'm not interested in retiring anytime soon.
No,
I'm not going anywhere.
But it might be something that, you know,
Right.
may interest some people. I don't know how many.
I'll take it.
Charlie.
I think that's when I was elected, so. I mean, that might be something we want to look into too, because let's say all of a sudden, if you have, they say you have X amount of years then and you can retire, we don't know who might jump on.
Right.
So, all right.
How about any other questions? Because I'm going to send these off to Charlie
got-
and Brenda.
One last question for me, but I'm not sure, I don't think it's really for Barbara. It would be, I just am curious as to what is the mechanism for us to recover that money? How do we go about getting access to those OPEB funds in the event we need it? I just don't know how it works.
Oh, well, it depends on what you're needing it for. I mean, obviously, if somebody's retiring, then they're there for them. But what do you mean?
Yeah, you have to go in and request a disbursement
Right.
through Rockland
Okay.
Trust, and then it's like an ETF, electronic funds transfer into your account.
Okay, so we're paying the benefits, but Rockland Trust will then funnel the money to us if we have someone that retires where we need additional money.
Yeah, that's
Okay, all right,
correct.
perfect. All right, I
Yes.
wasn't clear
Yes,
on
I
that.
mean, right now, there's a lot of money in that fund, and we haven't, I've never gotten any of it back out because we haven't needed to. But if we do need to, that's exactly what we do, is we request it.
Yep.
Right, and the idea is that by creating the irrevocable trust, you know, just like funding someone's like 401k or self-retirement, that the investment earnings will help offset the actual cost of the plan. Rather than if we just didn't have it and we just funded it on ourselves.